You play defense. You're a goalkeeper. Is there like a dynamic there between you two at all?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a connection. I mean, like when we were playing high school together, like every time I got the ball, I'm like, okay, where's Dani at? Where can I throw the ball? But yeah, I mean, even in practice, I feel like we have a pretty good connection of like, I know where she is on the field, like just making sure that like she's someone who responds well to like when I'm communicating on the field. So like I know if I tell her like I need her to step or go somewhere like on the field, like she's like jumps on it and like knows.
And I know
what
where
to do.
she wants me to be. Like I feel like a lot of the time in practice when we're working with the goalkeepers, we're doing transition games where it's like you have to move fast and get open for them. And so I'm just like, oh, I know exactly where Ally wants to go. I'm like, give me the ball, like please. But I mean, I love it. She's hard on me sometimes. Like I love being on a team with her, and like she's always yelling, but
I expect a lot out of her.
Yeah, but it's out of like the goodness of her heart, and she's like, I believe in you and like you can do it. But it's so funny since I'm always like looking at her and I'm like, really, like you're yelling at me right now, like what are we doing? But
so with that said, then like do you guys push each other the hardest, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I try to push everyone on the team, but I know with her like I can push a little bit harder because she knows it's like coming from a good place, and I know that she's like able to take my feedback well. So yeah.
And then I think it also just translates since when I'm not on her team, then I'm like, oh, I want to score on her. The worst is when we're doing PKs and we're up against each other. They're like, which Lynch sister is better? And I'm like,
do they hype that up?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, all the time. Even in high school.
I was going to say,
It was horrible.
In high school it was funny.
Yeah. We would do PKs after every practice, and they'd always make me go against Ally. And she's like, I can read your hips now. I know where you're going. And I'm just like.
Yeah, I did save a few of them.
Yeah, but I scored a bunch too.
So is that true, or you're just trying to get in her head about knowing where she was going?
I mean, sometimes just because like I feel like for some of my teammates that have like shot on me so many times that I can like pick up on them. But I mean, the more like higher level you get, I mean, it gets harder to save a PK. I mean, it gets faster. Like you have so much less reaction time. So I think that just because of that, like then it becomes like you doing your homework and like scouting and like seeing like patterns and like which way that like someone's gonna shoot or something like that.
Definitely. I was gonna say that like when a team's on attack, right? Let's say you're on a one-on-one, strikers coming at you. You don't have a lot of time to react, I'm assuming. Right.
Yeah.
So how do you play that live action? Because a PK, that's more like I think you prepare for that a little bit easier.
Yeah, I mean that's all part of being a goalkeeper. Everything's like very situational. Like you have to be able to read the ball correctly, like see if someone's coming at me and they have a bigger touch, like can I step out and actually come and get the ball? Making sure that your feet are set before they actually shoot to like give you the most time to react and save the ball. But it's all very situational. That's why like you have to train it in practice. So it's kind of like just becomes like a muscle memory type of thing.
Yeah, and when you're playing, defense as a defender and they're on attack, what's your mindset going into it?
I mean, I feel like you can't overthink it. Like, honestly, I think that's like your worst enemy when you start overthinking, since you're like, oh, what's this person going to do? I'm like, no, like if you're just going for it. And I mean, you have to be very careful with what you do, since if you take a wrong step, someone's going to blow by you. And like if it's a 1v1, I just think you have to like stay set and like be patient for the moment. So,
When you're playing, like, obviously, it's fast paced, especially now, ACC. How much time do you have to like think, but also just go?
I mean, you have to know. Like, I feel like you always have to be aware of where everyone is on the field. Like, you have to know where you're going before you get the ball, because if you don't know where you're going, you have like someone's going to be on you like right away. So you have to know where you're going. I feel like, at least on the field, like you guys might have more time, but sometimes I feel like you just have a girl running at you and you're like, I have to like get rid of it too.
Yeah. I mean, as a goalkeeper, sometimes it's hard because sometimes you have games that like, your team has had the ball like 70-80% of the game, and then there's just that one moment where like you've just kind of been standing there for like, I don't know, 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden there's a breakaway. So I feel like it's like you always have to be like mentally engaged. So sometimes like that, like you just have to like, stay in the game. But our coach always says that like after games, like he wants us to be like mentally and physically exhausted. But just like that mental piece, like staying in the game.
Yeah. How alert do you have to be as a goalkeeper? Because
yeah. I mean, you're not only worried about like where the ball is, you're worried about where your back line is, where your like basically your six is, like your defending midfielder. So like you have to make sure that everyone's in the right spot while also focusing like where the ball is. So there's a lot of moving pieces, and I feel like you have to be really good at like multitasking.